Hey guys, this is Ashten
This is Kevin.
with Jackalmen Games, and today we have a very special guest with us, Mike the Rebel Spy. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Great. We really appreciate you
Superb.
filling in for Ray for us today. He's got some stuff going on, so he's not able to join us today. But it's great to have you here. We actually like you better, so it's okay.
Oh my gosh.
Off to a good start.
That's
I
it,
mean, he
man.
can take it, but oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's from Jersey. He's fine. He's fine.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
So,
I'm
Mike-
happy to be here.
What have you been up to, man, lately? I mean, you've been making some waves, and you've been producing some content now, right?
Yeah, I've been making some videos. Figured that I'd start doing that. I got a webcam I don't know, 5 months ago, and I just it's just been sitting on my computer. I haven't done anything with it. I was like, I guess I should make a video or two. And so now I've done a bunch over the past 3 weeks, and it's been a lot of fun.
I love the thumbnails of your face and your facial
thank you.
expressions, and the one where you're holding your forehead with your hand and you got Yoda in the background.
That video was one of the funniest. If you watch it, you can just see my face when my opponent plays the premonitions over my premonitions, and was like, oh my god, I can't believe I let this happen.
You knew it was there, you just forgot about it for a moment, and you're like, man,
Yeah, for a
why?
split second, and then I the second I put the card down, I was like, oh crap, you can do this.
Oh yeah. All right, Kevin. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with you going through the first card, and all these spoilers have been yellow, which is really cool. Versus the last set of spoilers we had were all red, and I feel that this will probably be the last batch of spoilers because I've noticed I haven't been playing this as much as Mike or some of these other people, but I've noticed that when they release a bunch of them, it's like, okay, these are kind of the last little ones in the vault, and now it's getting ready to hit. We did see some little things about I think it was what was the website that said release date 7/26 or something, Mike?
No,
what was that?
There's a picture.
GameStop.
Yeah, GameStop 7/12/2018. I can put that picture in the bubble there that we throw stuff on. I don't even know which direction it in. Am I gesturing the right way?
Yeah, that way. There you go.
You're covered.
This way, over there.
You did it both ways. You're covered.
Okay, so yeah, that was spoiled. I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, somebody said it's coming out in June. It could be an old picture. It could be just GameStop doesn't get them until July, but soon. It is soon, which is really nice. But the first spoiler that they gave us today or yesterday was Anakin Skywalker, the little tiny baby Anakin. And since Phantom Menace is close to my heart, I'm excited to see this because now every time I use him, I can ask if my opponent is an angel.
Oh my gosh.
Are you an angel? So he's got a discard side, a shield side, 3 resource sides, a blank. He's 7, 1 die, 10 elite, 7 health. After you activate this character, you may turn one of your droid or Podracer dice to any side. And if you notice, he's a character dash pilot. So they're getting a little bit more descriptive with their characters. I can see him as the most useful card out of this. This whole batch, you can slip him into hero decks, get some extra dice going in on there.
3 resource sides is pretty awesome. For 10 points, being able to potentially just roll out into 2 resources when you activate him, easily, 60% of the time, or probably not 60% of the time because my math is terrible, but a certain amount of the time.
I was wondering why that last chart we looked at only equaled 90% total.
Oh, does it really? Oh my god, it does.
It's okay.
It's okay. We still love you.
Dice math is hard math.
Yeah, it's way over my head, but it's fine. All I know is that you can get a lot of resources with Anakin for a very cheap number of points.
So there's 3 sides. So that's a 50% chance. So that's
each side has a 50% chance. I know that much.
Yeah.
When you add them together is where it gets dicey for me.
It's dicey, ha.
Yeah.
I can see him in a Chance Cube mill deck. Since you're constantly making money for Chance Cube or with Padme.
But what's the purpose? What's the purpose of generating so much money with a 7 health character? He can be one-shotted right now very easily.
He can be, but
he's a one-turn kill. But he's a child.
I don't know if you build your deck right. Who's actually going for Anakin?
Right.
Hopefully you build your deck in a way to where you can get value out of him at least the first or second round, and then just be okay that you're done with him. And then on top of the fact that he's got 3 resource sides, he has like a third die that you roll out, or a second or third die depending on how many dice you roll with him, because when you activate him, you get to turn one of your droid or Podracer dice. So if you have a droid or Podracer out, you're rolling a focus as well, and then you're immediately resolving that focus too. So that's not to be diminished.
I see.
Yeah, and now we need to talk about the worst character.
So the next character that was spoiled in this set. So what was revealed there, Mike?
So we've got Sebulba, the Cutthroat Podracer. He is 9/12, and then he's got 9 health. The die sides are 2 ranged, 2 indirect damage, 1 disrupt, 1 resource, 1 special, and then a blank. And yeah, he's also a character -pilot. And his special is place 1 resource on a support in play, or remove 1 resource from a support in play. And so that comes into play when we're talking about a couple other cards one other card in the spoilers, and then 1 other card interacts with that as well. So do you guys want me to jump into that?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
All right, cool. So there's also a plot card that was spoiled. So I guess we kind of have to talk about this plot before we talk about
go ahead.
Special, right? So the plot's called Boon to Eve Classic. It says after you resolve 1 of your Podracer dice, you can place 1 resource on that Podracer, and then if there's 4 or more resources on it, you set aside each copy of this plot and then gain 4 resources. So you resolve your Podracer 4 times, and you just gain 4 resources theoretically, as long as you do it before your opponent, if they have Boon to Eve Classic as well. So the other card that Sebulba interacts with is called Remote Stockpile, and that one's from, I think, Legacies, and it has an action. It says exhaust the support to place 1 resource on it or take all resources from it. So his special only interacts with those 2 cards. You're never going to play Remote Stockpile because it's terrible. And I'm dubious on whether or not people are actually going to play Boon to Eve Classic with a Podracer anyway. And we can get into that a little bit more in a second, but I kind of just want to lay into Sebulba a bit. Compared to Talzin, who is a 9 health, 9/12 character, he is just hot garbage. I don't think that you will ever see Sebulba outside of draft, just straight up, unless you're just playing a meme deck, which I will 100% be doing.
Well, they tried to make up with it, I guess, with the 2 ranged and 2 indirect, but I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, is it better than a 1 ranged and a 2 ranged? Plus a free focus every time you activate, being Talzin as the other 9/12. I just don't see how he makes it into a deck.
The only thing that I would like to add is that he only affects supports, so he won't be affecting the Boon to Eve Classic, which is a plot.
That's true, but you can put it on the Podracer and add resources to it so that you can sort of cheat, and I think that's part of why he has that ability is Sebulba is the dirty cheater of Podracing.
Throwing stuff
with
and
special he can sort of cheat with the Boon to Eve Classic and win.
Oh, super amazing. I mean, as far as being thematic,
the theme is incredible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And to kind of touch more on these Podracers, to kind of go through those, is we have Anakin Skywalker's Podracer for 2. And it has ambush. So the cool thing about that is it goes more in theme with the thematic fast pod racing. So it has ambush, it's 2, it's cheap, you can play it, and then after you resolve this die, you may discard the top card of a deck, or if you spot Anakin Skywalker, discard a random card from an opponent's hand. And its sides is the 1 disrupt, 1 discard, 1 shield, 2 shields, the +2 to the resource, which synergizes with Anakin Skywalker, and then the blank side. So as you were discussing, as far as the Podracer and thematic side, if we go more into Sebulba's Podracer, which is also 2 cost, which is great because you got Podracer, both 2. Sebulba's Podracer also has ambush, and it has a 1 indirect, 2 indirect with a pay side for 1, which kind of sucks. That 1 disrupt, that 1 discard, that 1 shield, and that 1 blank. And then after you resolve this die, you may deal 1 indirect damage to an opponent, or if you spot Sebulba, deal 1 damage to a character. So it's either, you know, indirect or the direct damage, depending on what you spot.
Yeah. The parity between these two is awesome. Like, I love that they're kind of, you know, like opposite sides of the same coin. They both kind of have the same ability but different effects. I like the die sides on Anakin's Podracer quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
For like a mill deck or something like that, where you're not trying to deal damage, or maybe depending like on the deck, maybe even if you are, like 2 shields is really, really nice.
Especially for a weak character.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. So
and
it helps
for a 2 cost, you know, upgrade, or support, it's not that bad. And the +1 resource links up nicely with Anakin's 3 resource sides. So
yeah, the shields help with him being weak and the plus. So
yeah,
and having Anakin alive, you know, it helps, but it's not necessary to have Anakin alive with you. It still works without spotting Anakin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, like, discarding a random card from your opponent's hand is definitely better, and it's awesome. And actually, I just kind of like realized this, but it's kind of the same ability as Vader, which is kind of awesome because it's like, it's Anakin, it kind of shadows right. Like, you know,
with a
like
discard,
big Vader, which is, you know, discarding a random card. I mean, I guess it isn't random, but when it's big Vader, but this is better. So
yeah.
And then on the Sebulba side, like, getting extra value out of any of these sides, it's like it's decent, right? It's not terrible to deal, you know, like, discard a card and deal 1 indirect damage or 1 actual damage if you spot Sebulba. Like, it's not awful, but the die sides are just kind of underwhelming with the 1 indirect and the 2 indirect for a resource. That, like, the 2 indirect could so easily have not had a resource side, and this still probably wouldn't be playable.
I see.
True.
So
yeah.
So just to kind of continue going through these cards a little bit, we're going to cover the last 3, and then what we'll do is once we kind of go through these last 3 cards, we'll talk more about character pairings and kind of go more in depth. So Mike, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about this battlefield?
Yeah, okay, so we've got the Mos Espa Arena, and again, I love how, like, thematic this whole packet of cards is.
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah. I'm totally like a sucker for themes, so I'm definitely down with this. And I love the art on this as well. Reminds me of the old Podracer games from back in the day, which were amazing.
I have so many memories.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit earlier, is that the Nintendo 64 Podracer, you know, we were talking about this a little earlier about how there was 48 Podracers that you could have in that game, which was awesome. Like, you could unlock them and you race them and you beat them. And that game was hard. Like, that game was not easy.
That game was tough, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that's it, right? Like, all the rest of the spoilers from now on are just going to be new Podracers and Podracer.
Yeah. I mean, 48 Podracers is a lot.
I had the Game Boy Color version of that. I spent hours sitting on my desk, my deck outside, and I had to keep bugging my dad for AA batteries so I could put it in to my Game Boy Color cartridge for the Rumble Pack.
Yeah,
oh, nice.
So not only did I need batteries for the Game Boy, but I needed batteries for the game. So
you got a Rumble, man.
Yeah,
that's it.
It was so much fun, and it made the most annoying noise. I wonder if I could sample that in the pod racing sound.
Oh man.
Okay,
right.
so let's talk about this plot here.
Yeah, all right. So the claim effect on this guy is force an opponent to choose to either lose 1 resource or have you gain 1 resource. And then it says spot a Podracer to force them to do both instead. So it's like, it's not bad, actually. Like, the effect is kind of a nothing effect a lot of the time. If your opponent doesn't have any resources, they can just choose to still lose a resource and then not have to lose a resource because they don't have any.
Right.
And then there's a bonus if you do have a Podracer, where then you always get at least 1 resource. The problem with this is that if you're playing this in a deck with Podracers, like, you're not claiming the battlefield most of the time. So like, unless you're playing against another slow deck, you're not going to be claiming this, and it kind of doesn't matter anyway. So that part of it's a little weird. I kind of wish that like, for Mos Espa Arena, if they wanted to design a card with, like, pod racing in mind, I maybe like not having a claim effect and just having a like if you control the battlefield type effect.
Yeah.
So that at least like, you know, if you grab it, like you can get some value out of it while you are, you know, doing your pod racer things. Maybe you like, I don't know, get an extra resource on Boon to Eve Classic or something. I mean, or just on a pod racer, because that only really interacts with Boon to Eve Classic, but you don't need Boon to Eve Classic to, you know, for that effect to work. So who knows?
Also, one of the things to bring up on Boon to Eve Classic is that pod racer looks like Gascano's pod racer, or Gascana, however you say it. I don't know, but
yeah,
Gascana or Gascano.
He was the guy I always played in the pod racer game, actually.
Yeah,
How
he
do
was
you
cool.
even spell his name?
Gasgano, Gascano.
Gascano.
So hopefully we'll see that. Maybe I don't think it's going to be the
whoa.
pod racer die that we see that was gray, Mike, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
that definitely has a different shape. I'm not sure who that is yet, but I'm sure we could do some more digging and try to find that out.
Definitely.
He's got a long neck.
So maybe we'll see that. I don't know, but
yeah. I mean, hopefully we see more pod racers, right? Like if
we got to.
They created this whole, you know, like scheme, and there's only like two pod racers. It'd be a bit
There's got to be more.
Yeah, there's got. I mean, I would like to see at least 8. At least 8. If we can see 8, if we can get a haul of 12, that would be really cool, because I believe there was 12 that was actually there that we saw that they kind of marketed, let's say. But I mean, that would be a lot.
Yeah,
Are the games technically canon? Like, did Disney not throw away the games?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
That is a good question. I don't know, because like I said, there was like 48 I think you could unlock, and then there was like 12 that you kind of see in the movie, and also you see 12 they're in that plot card, like, or the battlefield. Looks like there's like 3 per row, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. So, you know, there could be 12 there. Hopefully we can see all the ones we can visually see, because you can see Anakin's right there, the second row in the middle. Yeah,
and then Sebulba's is first in the middle.
You got it.
And yeah,
his is the other. Gascano's probably in the back somewhere. I don't see it here. So, you know, there could be a chance that we get at least 12, which would be awesome. You know,
definitely. Yeah, I would hope, like, if they do that, it would be nice if they kind of spread it out across like the next set as well, because then like all of the yellow characters are just going to be pod racers.
Right. Like everything's definitely like pre-trilogies. Like everything that we see is definitely pre-trilogies. So I don't know if we're going to expect to see a lot of like episode 1, 2, and 3 cards and continue moving forward. We'll see. And then maybe the next set is going to be maybe, I don't know, the I can't really be the sequels really. I mean, I guess it could be, but
yeah, well, we have seen a lot of like prequel stuff, which I didn't really think about, because we've seen Plo Koon, we've seen Rex, we've seen, you know, Anakin, we've seen Sebulba. Like they definitely did show us a lot of that stuff. But then they also showed us Luke, like old man Luke, and then on the box is Snoke, and then there's the die for General Leia. So there'll probably be
a mixture. Maybe they'll feature certain things.
Well, yeah.
Okay, that'd be cool.
I like, you would think so, right? Because we haven't seen those cards yet, and that movie came out like 6 months ago. So.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Kevin.
We got 2 more cards to cover. We got Pod Racer Betting, which is an event. Choose a number, then re-roll one of your vehicle dice. If that dice just rolled a value equal to the number you chose, gain 2 resources or 3 resources instead. If it was a Pod Racer die, whew, that's a mouthful. And then we also got Start Your Engines, which is another event where you get to search your deck for a pod racer, reveal it, and add it to your hand, shuffle your deck. I want to talk about this one, and then I'll let you go back to pod racer betting if you want, Ashten.
Sounds good.
No, yeah, you're good.
Start Your Engines is like, this game has so limited on searching your deck. Like the only other card is
Lightsaber Pull.
Lightsaber Pull, yes.
Exactly.
And that's only blue weapons. And if you think of any other tabletop card game, they're like tutoring your hand and like recruiting and all that. That's a major theme. Like I don't know if Mike played Yu-Gi-Oh, but in Yu-Gi-Oh, any card that would search a deck would immediately get limited. It would get put to, you could only have a certain amount of copies of it because they're so strong. And I wonder if Destiny is just trying to keep away from that because they are so strong. But it's just odd to me that there's a card game with only 2 cards that search your deck.
Yeah, there's not many. And it is 0, which is great.
Yeah, it's a free. It's one action to search your deck.
Yeah, so you get it in your starting hand. You know, you got a Podracer in your hand. You load it with, you know, however many Podracers you could potentially get. We don't know yet, but it's just an additional Podracer that you can get, you know, on your first turn. You know, so that's really impactful.
Yeah, if you're going with the Podracer strategy, like this is definitely an essential card in it, just to increase your count of Podracers in your deck. I'm on the side of being kind of glad that there aren't that many tutor effects in this game. One reason being that you only have a 30 card deck and you draw up to 5 cards every single turn.
Yeah.
So like your reliability in your draws is like generally higher than other decks where like you're just drawing 1 card a turn. And the secondary part of that is like waiting for your opponent to search through their deck and then shuffle it is such a pain in the butt. That I'm glad that I don't have to watch it that often.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're the one that made draw your whole deck in 1 round.
That's well, okay. I to be fair, I didn't make it. I've just been tweaking it, but I do enjoy that deck quite a bit.
We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, that is cool. All right, so I'll touch a little bit more on Podracer betting. So I love this card. One, because I just love the fact of the betting and the racing and the thematic side of that. You know, it's 1 cost. You can choose a number, then re-roll one of your vehicle die, and that's vehicle die. So it doesn't have to be Podracers. It can be things, for example, of, let's say, Y-Wing or Ghost, you know, and then you have these 2 Podracers that we have here. But, you know, Mike was talking to us a little bit more about the statistics and percentages of things, and he was kind of explaining more. Well, I mean, you get the general idea is that, you know, there is a lot of sides here that we have a good chance of guessing what that numerical side's going to be. So I mean, Anakin's obviously the one that we can use for example, where everything's 1. So, you know, you have a good chance of maybe, you know, utilizing that effect, you know, with other cards. Because I'm sure if they have him as all in 1, if we look more of these vehicles, because these are vehicles that trigger that ability, they're all pretty close in numerical value. So we're looking at maybe a 66% chance of guessing correctly, and a 33% chance of throwing away a resource or a card in an action where it's just, you know, it's not that great. You know, so I mean, what do you guys think? You guys think that this is actually going to see some play? You think we'll see some more plays, or see this being played in decks that aren't Podracers, maybe just in vehicles in general? I mean, what do you think?
I personally think that this card is very thematic, and like maybe gets played in draft if you draft a Podracer or something like that. But otherwise, I think that this card is just like straight unplayable, because like, yes, you have that 66% chance to guess correctly. And if you do, you either gain 1 or 2 resources. Getting 1 isn't that great because there's so many other better cards that give you a resource.
Right.
Getting 2 is like, okay, but you have to have a Podracer out and you have to guess correctly on that 66%. If you guess incorrectly, which is, you know, like a third of the time you're going to guess incorrectly, you're just going to be throwing this card away, throwing a resource away, and losing your action. Like,
yeah,
so
and re-rolling a dice that could land on what you don't want.
Right.
Yeah. So I honestly think that it's not good.
It's cool. It could be fun, but it's not something that you're going to see in a competitive deck. Like, I'm not sure. Totally. I'm not sure anyone's going to be placing like first at Worlds next year with Podracers.
Yeah,
like,
Podracer
I don't think, you know, just Podracers and, you know, Podracer bettings together is.
I will say in my Podracer meme deck, this will definitely be in it.
Of course.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of like the dumb luck deal with the Gungans. It's like, yeah, it's fun if you can trigger it, but like every time I've tried to use it, like it never works for me. And it's like, you know, you want things that are consistent that you can rely on. And this is one of those cards that's fun, but you know, it's that 33% chance is still really high, you know?
Yeah. And also thinking about drafting, because I'm going to be drafting like crazy when Way of the Force drops.
Oh yeah.
You know, a lot of people are going to pass on the Podracers. So, I mean, you could have a whole entire themed deck.
You could win with that, actually. That would be crazy.
Because whenever I draft, I always drafted all the witch magic stuff, all the stuff for Talzin.
Yeah.
Because people would pass on it because they're like, I don't want to build an odd deck in draft. And it's like, well, I
just build it. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you have all the witches magics and all that. So anyways, that's a different sound the alarm. But So is there anything else that we want to touch on?
So I think that goes through all the cards. I kind of wanted to talk with Mike a little bit more about his character pairings and things with Anakin Skywalker, and kind of go in a little bit more detail about the droids and how we can do more things with that.
Yeah, sounds good. So my first thought after seeing Anakin, and I mean, it's probably mostly because I have been playing this deck a lot. It's the launch bay, draw all of your cards in one turn, and then cello for like 12 deck.
Yeah.
And so one of the plays in the deck that is really powerful is Award Ceremony, because you have 4 characters and you can draw 4 cards, and then playing Rebel to get more Award Ceremonies, because drawing 4 cards is the best thing that you can be doing in this deck. But Rebel requires you to have a discard side, and so the only characters in the deck that have discard sides are Rose and Jar Jar, but you also play Ezra. So I was thinking that like my first act in upgrading this deck or tweaking it for the next set would be to swap Ezra out for Anakin. You lose out on Ezra's +2 side and his steal the resource side, which can be good, but you gain the 3 resource sides on Anakin, which is really important because resources matter a lot in this deck. And you get another discard side to be able to get Rebel off more easily, and then continuing on the just like trying to guarantee Rebel is if you have C3PO out, which I've added to this deck, you can activate Anakin and then turn C3PO's die to the discard side, and then be able to use Rebel off that, like guaranteed, as long as I don't remove the C3PO die.
Yeah.
And then additionally, I play R2D2 in the deck as well, which you can turn to the special to be able to draw a card with and change another die. So I think that this slots into the deck perfectly, and I'm very, very excited to try and play it.
I actually got to play against a version of this deck today at my locals. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's a lot of fun to play against. It's just pretty much just don't claim. Don't ever claim until you get rid of the launch bay deck or launch bay dice, because he slapped me for 6 with that, or 7. I got slapped for 8 too. I was running a big deck so I could take it, but like a very healthy deck. And
yeah,
then
that would be tough.
Towards the end, I was just ripping cards out of his hands, like Maz's goggles, just like get out, go away cards.
Yeah,
and that's what slowed it down a lot. But
yeah, I didn't build the deck. Credit goes to I think his name was Running Onion on the SWDB, but I have tweaked it a bunch, and I think it is even more consistent, which is kind of scary. I'm secretly hoping that they don't print any more draw cards in the next set, because I would be very scared, because the more easily you can sort of draw your entire deck turn 1, the more dangerous this deck is as a concept. So if it's more reliable to draw that many cards literally turn 1, it just becomes sort of luck of the mulligan, where if your opponent doesn't have something to deal with the launch bay die on turn 1, if you can get it out reliably, then they just lose. So just something to bring up.
That's
solitaire
crazy.
decks shouldn't exist. They shouldn't.
100% agree. Yeah,
because the only
it's been fun for me.
If you can't interact, once you claim, you cannot interact with your deck, and your deck has so many actions to do that it's any other average meta deck is going to claim before you. It just happens.
Yeah.
So as soon as you say, okay, do whatever you want, that it's over.
They literally do whatever they want. And yeah, that is definitely key, especially because you play Truce in the deck, and you play Don't Get Cocky. So you want to wait until your opponent plays those cards, because if you claim, they can play Don't Get Cocky, and the cards that you draw off it don't matter because you claimed. But if you wait and then Don't Get Cocky gets played, you draw into removal or something like that. You want to be able to react and use it. So
yeah,
just
I like this deck.
Yeah.
Would be fun.
So we were talking
Especially
about
with
6 die.
Anakin.
You were talking about the 6 die combination. So what's the 6 die combination for this?
Yeah, so you can go. I think there might be two. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you can go Anakin, Jar Jar, Rose. You can actually do that now with Ezra, Jar Jar, Rose. And I'm not sure if there's another 811 character for heroes, but yeah. If another 811 hero comes out, or if there is one out that I'm forgetting, you could also pair with that. So.
The only other 811 that I know of is Maz.
Oh right, okay, yeah. So you can go Anakin, Maz, Jar Jar, and just have like a all yellow,
mono yellow, resolving to die, and that could be fun. You got Jar Jar to mess it up, Maz to focus everything in. You got Anakin with the Podracers, and things with discarding making lots of money. Like there'd be a lot going on with that deck.
Yeah. And then Kylo 2 hits the table.
Yeah, you get wrecked.
Hey, that's what the 2 shields are for. No, I'm just joking.
Oh yeah, then stops one activation.
Yeah, I think that if I was going that route, I'd probably play Rose and play more vehicles. Because then you go like Anakin, Jar Jar vehicles with like Podracers and like C-3PO and stuff like that. Have more things to do with Anakin's ability because of C-3PO, and then like maybe play Chopper with Anakin's ability being a thing.
Oh yeah,
I like Chopper.
It's possible.
Yeah, Chopper's cool.
He's a little overcosted, but he's fine.
One of the things. Go ahead, Mike.
No. I don't know where I was going with that.
What I was going to say is one of the things we were talking about earlier is that we would love to see the pre, I guess, construction, whatever you want to call it, the C-3PO that's all mangled with no panels and just wires exposed, and that would be awesome to see a new C-3PO that can kind of coincide with Anakin, maybe being yellow as well, all kind of stripped down, which would be awesome. I mean, it would kind of fit the thematic part of all this, and maybe you'll do something more with discarding, or maybe we'll do something more with money. I don't know, but that would be awesome.
Or since he's deconstructed, you might have to hit a special side to do something similar to current red C-3PO.
Maybe.
So he's not as good. He's not as good at translating dice.
Or maybe he'll be like really good, but he'll have more blanks than just 2. And maybe, but the other 3 sides that he has that aren't blank are like really good because he's like still kind of being built or constructed. So, the chances of hitting something is rare, but if he does, it's phenomenal. I mean, that would be cool. Like play a vehicle from your hand for free or something or whatever.
Yeah. Well, he in Phantom Menace, he's supposed to help around the house and stuff like that, right? He's like a helper for his mom and stuff like that. So he, maybe he's got a 1 focus, a 2 focus, and then like 1 focus, 2 focus, 3 focus, blank, blank, blank.
Yeah.
3 focus, tidy up.
Yeah. That would probably be way too good, even for like 1 resource with like a 3 focus side, but
especially when Anakin can turn it to the 3 focus side.
Yeah. Immediately, you roll out partnership. Anakin Skywalker just immediately turned to the 3, take an extra action.
Oh my goodness.
Well, another person I'm sure we're going to see is probably Watto. I mean, I think Watto would be cool to see as a character in here, because he's kind of fitting the whole Podracer thing, and I could see him maybe being yellow as well. I don't know, we'll see, but I think we'll see him, and I think we're going to see the original C-3PO. I would be super excited for that, and I think there's a good chance. All right, guys. Well, again, Mike, thank you so much, man, for joining us. We really appreciate that. You got some great insight, and it's been great having your voice and your face with the Jackalmen. That's awesome.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it was fun to be on. If any of you guys are video fans, check out youtube.com/Rebel Spy. And by the fact that you're watching this video, I have to assume that you are. So,
all right, Kevin, you say your goodbyes and kiss the crowd.
Love you all.
All right, guys, y'all take it easy.
Bye, guys.